Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine getting just a fire hose of information from like a single day.
Yeah.
Headlines, reports, random facts, history notes, all kind of jumbled together.
Right.
That's basically what we've got in front of us today. It's a stack of sources giving us this snapshot, heavily focused on Nigeria around June 15th, 2025, but also reaching out to, global events and some genuinely surprising little details you just wouldn't expect.
It's quite a collection, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really shows the incredible breadth of things reported, facts that just surface on any given day.
Exactly.
We're pulling from news snippets, specific figures, historical notes, trying to build this picture.
Right. And our mission really in this deep dive is to be your guides through this stack. We're going to try and pull out the key takeaways, find the connections maybe, and hopefully give you some of those aha moments, cut through the noise so you leave feeling hopefully quickly and insightfully informed about this particular moment in time.
Think of it like getting the essence right.
Right.
Without having to sift through mountains of text yourself.
Perfect. So let's just dive right in. We're going to start with a look at what the sources are telling us about security and safety concerns within Nigeria at this time.
Okay, well, what immediately jumps out are reports highlighting the ongoing challenges. There's one very stark headline. It mentions anger after a reported attack, suspected to be by herders, that killed 100 people in Benue State.
Wow, 100 people.
Yeah.
That's a deeply concerning figure. It
is.
It really underscores the severity, doesn't it? The security issues in some regions.
Definitely. But, alongside that, the sources also show the government's efforts to respond.
Okay.
We see reports that the Nigerian army is actively recruiting. They're aiming to bring in over 6,000 new soldiers.
6,000?
Yeah, specifically to boost national security capabilities.
Okay, so significant boost.
And kind of aligning with that, the Nigerian Air Force chief is quoted emphasizing that civilian safety is a top priority in their operations.
Right.
So while the incidents are clearly serious, there are stated strategies and actions being taken by security forces in response.
And we also get glimpses of, specific law enforcement actions reported.
Yeah, exactly. In Kaduna State, raids led to the arrest of 182 suspects. And police in Anambra State arrested 2 individuals reportedly involved in abducting siblings.
Okay.
Tragically, though, the human cost of these security challenges is also explicitly mentioned.
How so?
The Anambra State Governor, Governor Saludo, he approved N15 million naira for the mass burial of crisis victims.
Oh, wow. That specific detail, it really brings home the real-world impact of the violence being reported, doesn't it?
It really does.
So looking at these headlines together then, the reported attacks, the army recruitment, the stated priority for civilian safety, the police actions, and then the grim reality of mass burials. What kind of picture does this paint about the security situation?
Well, it tells us there's a persistent, significant challenge, especially with incidents like the one reported in Benue.
Right.
But it also shows active countermeasures. The scale of that recruitment, over 6,000, suggests a recognition of the need for more personnel.
Okay.
And the focus on civilian safety indicates the strategic intent, at least. The police actions highlight ongoing efforts to tackle criminality. While that mass burial detail, it just serves as a really somber reminder of the urgent need for these measures.
Yeah, definitely sobering. Okay, so moving from that challenging security picture, let's try to navigate the political and governance landscape described in the sources. It seems pretty complex.
It does. Right away, we see legislative matters are prominent. The Senate is reportedly raising concerns that a part-time parliament structure...
A part-time parliament?
Yeah, that it could potentially undermine Nigeria's democracy. So that speaks to internal discussions about the very functioning of the government body itself.
Interesting. And it's not just about their own structure, is it? The House of Representatives seems to be flexing its oversight muscle.
That's right. They reportedly summoned the finance minister and the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN,
right,
over an alleged breach of the Fiscal Act. So that indicates, checks and balances in action, the legislature scrutinizing the executive and financial authorities.
Okay. And beyond those formal actions, there seems to be a lot of vibrant political discussion and tension reported.
Oh, absolutely. In the public sphere, Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka is cited making a significant call to President Tinubu to investigate and reveal the killers of historical figures like Kudirat Abiola, Delagiwa, and Boliach.
Wow. So linking current political discourse to these unresolved historical injustices.
Exactly. And the political back and forth gets quite specific, too. There's a report about Peter Obi's allies reportedly criticizing Kenneth Okonkwo over comments where Okonkwo claimed Obi had betrayed him. So that highlights internal dynamics, public spats within political camps.
Right. And more friction. The presidency reportedly described critiques from former Minister Rotimi Amaichi against President Tinubu as basically being about a power grab.
Yeah, that's reported. But conversely, you also see expressions of support. Former Niger Delta ex-agitators declaring unwavering loyalty to Tinubu, Tompolo, and Otuaro.
It's quite a mix, and it seems the focus is already shifting quite significantly towards the next election cycle, 2027.
Way ahead, yeah. Reports suggest a succession storm is already brewing.
A succession storm?
Yeah, as 10 governors are reportedly set to exit their terms. And one governor, the Gombe governor, has already openly endorsed President Tinubu for 2027.
Already? Wow, that shows how far in advance the political positioning begins.
It really does. Party-specific news is also featured. The PDP, the People's Democratic Party, they've written to INES, the Electoral Commission, about their upcoming NEC meeting, National Executive Committee.
Okay.
And within the PDP, NEC members are reportedly predicting backlash in 2027 for Governors Eno and Oborevori.
Oh, interesting. Suggesting internal disagreements or maybe potential defections are a live issue.
Seems like it. And both the PDP and the NNPP, the New Nigeria People's Party, are warning against politicizing anti-corruption agencies.
Hinting at concerns about how those bodies might be used in political contests, maybe against opponents.
That seems to be the implication, yes.
And amidst all these national stories, we get these unique local political or cultural notes, too.
Yeah, like a House of Representatives member, Isiaka, being installed as the Siriki Adini of Yowaland, which is a traditional religious title.
Right. And court news is part of this snapshot, too.
The Supreme Court is reportedly debunking allegations about one of its justices' political trips, and a Lagos court jailed a man for assaulting a government worker. Shows the legal system's role in, civil order.
So looking at this really diverse mix, legislative actions, public calls, party spats, early election stuff, local titles, court rulings, what does this snapshot tell us about the political energy in Nigeria right now?
Well, I think it paints a picture of a system that is incredibly dynamic, multi-layered.
Yeah.
You've got the formal structures of government doing their work, summons, debates about Parliament's form.
Right.
But at the same time, you have this intense public discourse, historical reckonings, internal party power struggles, and leaders already positioning for elections years away.
It feels like constant motion, doesn't it, with different forces pulling in various directions?
Absolutely. It really highlights that politics isn't just confined to legislative chambers. It's playing out in public calls for justice, party meetings, social media, even traditional institutions.
Okay, let's shift gears now to economy and finance. Our sources provide some pretty intriguing numbers and policy developments here.
Yeah, some significant figures reported. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL,
NNPCL, right,
recorded a substantial revenue of 5.89 trillion out the Naira.
Wow, that's a huge figure. Shows a lot of activity in the state oil sector.
It is, but then you contrast that with other data. The National Bureau of Statistics, the NBS, reports that Nigerians imported a massive N1.67 trillion Naira worth of food and drinks.
In just 3 months?
In just 3 months, yeah.
And 1.67 trillion on imported food. That number really jumps out. Suggests maybe significant challenges in domestic food production meeting demand.
It certainly does suggest that. And perhaps surprisingly, firewood exports also hit a notable N65.85 billion Naira.
Firewood exports, that's unexpected. Shows diverse, maybe informal economic activities contributing significantly.
It seems so. On the international finance front, there's news of targeted support. The World Bank is allocating a $40 million loan specifically aimed at protecting poor Nigerians.
Okay, so external recognition of vulnerability there and directed aid.
Exactly. Also, for Nigerians abroad, there's a report that Nigerians in Portugal will reportedly enjoy zero tax on foreign income.
Oh, that could be a significant incentive for diaspora engagement, maybe return.
Potentially, yeah. There's also positive news regarding Nigeria's position in global financial crime monitoring. According to the NFIU, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit,
Nigeria
is reportedly closer to exiting the FATF gray list. Financial Action Task Force.
Getting off that list is important, right? For international financial credibility transactions.
Very important, yeah.
Looking at specific sectors.
Well, the electricity distribution companies, the DISCOs.
The DISCOs, yeah.
They're reportedly complaining about low power generation, just 5,500 megawatts, despite Nigeria's huge gas reserves.
That highlights that persistent challenge, doesn't it? Translating potential energy resources into actual power supply. That impacts the whole economy.
Absolutely. In Lagos, marketers are quoted stating that a recent plastic ban isn't necessarily against profit, suggests they might be adapting or looking at alternatives.
Okay.
And in Delta State, the House of Assembly is reportedly moving to enact a law specifically to address rising house rents in places like Asaba.
So legislative response to cost of living issues there.
Seems like it. We also see administrative details with financial implications. FCT, Federal Capital Territory, ground rent payments reportedly surged in the 24 hours before deadline.
Suggests tight compliance pressure, maybe?
Could be. And the Inspector General of Police extended the deadline for tinted glass permits to August 12th. Seems like a small administrative detail, but it has potential revenue and compliance implications.
Right. So taken together, these numbers and policy points, they paint a very mixed economic picture, don't they?
Extremely mixed. You've got significant revenue generation in oil, but this high reliance on imported food. There's international aid and positive regulatory movement, but persistent issues like power generation capacity.
Yeah.
And specific actions are being taken at various levels, state assemblies on rent, federal bodies on financial crime lists.
It really shows an economy with major strengths, but equally major challenges, and efforts being made on multiple fronts to, well, manage it all.
Exactly. It's a complex system, and it's reflected in these diverse headlines.
Okay, so beyond economics, our sources cover a really wide range of social issues, health, education, infrastructure, stuff impacting daily life.
Yeah, definitely. One very concerning social challenge highlighted is within the justice system. A report states that awaiting trial inmates currently exceed 53,000.
53,000, that's a huge number. Points to significant backlogs, issues within the legal process, correctional facilities.
It really does. In health news, the National Hospital is reportedly disputing claims from the NMA, the Nigerian Medical Association, and denying that they sacked doctors. So, some conflict there. And in Nasarawa State, a report from SFH, Society for Family Health, indicates over 129,000 young brides are reportedly using contraceptives.
That suggests successful uptake of family planning initiatives in that specific area, maybe?
That's what it seems to imply, yes. There are also tragic reminders of, well, life's fragility. A Gambia State permanent secretary and 4 other people reportedly died from electrocution.
How terrible.
And the chairman of the Odawari LCDA, Mr. Musabau Ashafa, reportedly died at 68.
Right. Sad news. Education updates are also present.
Reports mention 64,000 students sitting for the common entrance exam into federal government colleges. What's particularly interesting is that NICO, the National Examinations Council, is conducting these exams with participation from students in Benin and Togo.
Oh, really? That indicates some regional educational connections, then.
It does. However, there are challenges in the education sector, too. Clinical lecturers at the University of Calabar, UNICAL, are reportedly downing tools.
Why?
Over a dispute regarding a new vice-chancellor selection process.
Okay.
And a large number, 239 teachers in Jigawa State, were reportedly denied salaries over absenteeism, highlighting administrative and staffing issues.
Right. Food security comes up again, but in a different context.
Yeah. The Ministry of Agriculture is reportedly denying claims they held prayers for food security.
Denying prayers.
Yeah, stating instead that they canceled an event due to staff deaths. Meanwhile, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Tugger, is seeking collaboration with China, specifically to deepen food security. So, pointing to international cooperation as a strategy.
Okay, on a more positive infrastructure note.
Yes, significant progress reported here. The N200 billion Naira Bodo-Bani Road project is now reportedly open to traffic.
That sounds like a major development for connectivity in that region.
Definitely. Other diverse points cover social services, local issues. The First Lady is reported to have commissioned a resettlement city for IDPs, internally displaced persons, in Nasarawa.
Good to hear.
Ondo State is reportedly declaring a war against cocoa adulteration, important for a key agricultural export.
Right, quality control.
And Lagos is issuing warnings to residents about potential flash floods due to heavy rainfall, a recurring urban challenge, unfortunately.
Yeah. And finally, a cultural or religious note mentioned.
A bishop reportedly backing Abel Demina's stance that the Bible doesn't forbid women's trousers. Shows ongoing public discussion on religious interpretations.
Interesting. These headlines really show the wide spectrum, don't they? Issues impacting daily life across Nigeria, from major infrastructure wins to persistent challenges in health, education, justice, even cultural debates.
They really highlight that societal well-being involves tackling everything. Large-scale infrastructure, displacement crises, administrative issues like teacher attendance, even theological discussions. It's all interconnected.
Okay, let's step back slightly now. Our sources also give us a few glimpses of global events and some, well, delightful standalone facts too.
Yeah, the global snippets include mentions related to the Israel-Iran situation. Reports note that former U.S. President Trump and Russian President Putin reportedly held talks. And bringing it back to Nigeria's international stance, the federal government is reported as condemning Israel's attack on Iran and calling for de-escalation.
Right, so showing Nigeria's position on those international tensions.
Exactly. We also see tragic natural disasters reported elsewhere. Floods in the DRC capital reportedly killed at least 19 people.
Oh, no.
And the death toll from floods in South Africa rose to 86. Grim reminders of the impact of climate and weather events globally.
Definitely. And crime news extending beyond Nigeria.
Yes. A report stating a U.S. senator and representative were reportedly shot inside their homes. A striking detail about security challenges in another context.
Wow. And bringing the global and Nigerian context back together, an interesting migration detail.
Yeah, over 300 Nigerians are reportedly seeking asylum in Iceland. Iceland highlights migration trends and the diverse destinations people are seeking out globally.
Fascinating. And then we have some truly interesting facts, just mixed into the sources.
Yeah. Reports mention Donald Trump reportedly earned $57 million from crypto coin sales, a very specific financial detail.
Huh, okay.
The World Economic Forum, WEF, reports that Nigeria's female workforce participation has hit a new high, which is a significant data point regarding gender and employment.
That's positive news.
Plus, you get those brilliant did-you-know-do facts.
Yes.
Like the world's most translated author is Agatha Christie. Over 103 languages, more than 2 billion copies sold globally. Best known for Miss Marple, Hercule Poirot.
Incredible numbers.
What?
And your favorite.
My personal favorite from the sources. A group of flamingos isn't just a flock. It's called a flamboyance.
A flamboyance. I love that. That's brilliant. And finally, a cultural note circling back to Nigeria on the global stage.
Yes, musician Sanmi Michael is reportedly planning a U.S. tour specifically with the aim of elevating African sound on a global stage.
Great ambition. These points really show how the events of the day connect Nigeria to wider global happenings, diplomacy, migration.
Yeah, and then they throw in these wonderfully diverse facts that just broaden our understanding of the world in unexpected ways, like a flamboyance of flamingos.
It's like getting little gems of information, isn't it? Speaking of gems, our sources also included a Today in History note, and it's a foundational one for medicine.
Absolutely foundational. On this specific day, back in 1667, the very first human blood transfusion was reportedly administered.
The first ever.
Performed by Jean-Baptiste Denis. He was the physician to King Louis XIV of France.
And get this, he used sheep blood.
Sheep blood. He transfused it into a 15-year-old boy who, remarkably, survived.
Survived sheep blood. How?
Well, experts believe his survival was likely due to the relatively small amount of blood used.
Wow. It's just a stark reminder, isn't it, of the incredibly rudimentary and risky beginnings of medical procedures we now just take for granted.
It really makes you appreciate how far science and medical practice have evolved since that, well, daring, somewhat successful, but ultimately very risky experiment.
So what does this whirlwind tour through all these sources really mean for you listening? We've navigated a massive stack of information today.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Covering everything from the intricate security, political, economic challenges and responses in Nigeria around June 15, 2025, to the ripple effects of international conflicts, natural disasters, that foundational moment in medical history.
And even the delightful collective noun for flamingos.
Can't forget the flamboyance. By deliberately pulling these threads from such diverse sources, news reports, economic figures, history notes, random facts, we see that even a single day is just packed with interconnected activity.
It really highlights the value, I think, of looking across different domains to get a fuller picture of what's happening in the world, not just staying in one lane.
Absolutely. It shows that context matters, and sometimes unexpected pieces of information can shed light on larger trends or just offer a moment of, fascination. And as we wrap up this deep dive, we're left with the thought. It was provided in the sources, something that kind of resonates after sifting through so many reports, policies, perspectives, some undoubtedly presented with specific motives or agendas.
The most exhausting activity is pretending to be what you know you aren't. That's attributed to Rick Warren.
The most exhausting activity is pretending to be what you know you aren't. A powerful idea, maybe, to consider. Whether looking at global affairs or just reflecting on our own experiences after absorbing so much information about the varied faces the world presents.